Hi, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Cocoon, a podcast for people working in the wellness space, featuring people working in the wellness space. And on this episode, I have the amazing Karen Mahima Mallinson, who is the co-founder and teacher at Grassroots Yoga and Meditation. And you're beaming in from Spain. How are
I
you, Karen?
am. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, really good. So whereabouts in Spain are you?
It's about 60 kilometers south of Barcelona. So we're on the coast, on the Costa Dorada. Sounds very
Wow.
glamorous, I know. It's just north of a city called Tarragona. So we're in the countryside a little bit, and still see the ocean, but it's very beautiful. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Oh,
And we're going to have a 31 degrees day, so it's going to be a bit of a hot one today, I think.
wow. It sounds idyllic.
It
It's
is. We're very lucky. We're very lucky. Yeah.
And so you've been working in the wellness space for quite a while.
Yeah.
So tell me, what led you to here? Because you also work in marketing. So tell me your
Yeah.
story about how it all happened.
So, yeah, I have a corporate background. I worked in marketing. Well, I think in total now it's been about just over 20 years. So I was very much in the corporate space. And then in the UK, I was going to a yoga class probably once a week, a little church hall. I'd go to my Thursday night class, little Iyengar class. And then a few years later, I moved to Australia, found a really good teacher, continued, and I was going a couple of times a week to yoga. Very much more postural yoga. And then work was starting to get a lot more stressful, and I was really struggling with sleep. I found I was getting more anxiety and stress. I was really struggling with that side of my job. A lot of demands, a lot of more. We want more, and it was all chasing the profit, and I really struggled with that side of things.
Mm.
And I think the more yoga I did, the more aware I got that I was struggling with that. Anyway, I changed my hours a little bit, went back to started working 4 days a week, and I said to my yoga teacher, "Oh, I'd like to do another class. Can you recommend a class for me?" And she directed me to this little centre in the centre of Manly, on the northern beaches of Sydney, called Manly Yoga, and I went there. And I don't know, something clicked with me there. Like the system of yoga was very much more of a holistic approach. So it looked at more of no, it wasn't just what you did on the mat. There was a lot more about developing awareness and treating it like as a way of life. Like the system of yoga is more about the holistic way of living. So
Yeah.
one class went to 2, 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, and one day I had to go to the doctors for something unrelated, and he looked at me and he said, you're 10 kilos overweight. And I was horrified, and and my blood pressure was high, and I need to put you on medication. And I was like, no, I can't. That's I was just horrified by it. So I got a second opinion, and they put me on a blood pressure monitor for 24 hours, which measured obviously every 30 minutes, they'd measure my blood pressure. And so on my way to work, my blood pressure started going up and up and up and up. And when I was at work, it was sky high. And when I came home in the evening, it went back to normal. So that was a real indicator to me that something needed to change in my life, that the way my lifestyle was in terms of work had to change. So I decided, I left the corporate world and I started freelancing. And at that time, other changes were happening in my life, but I decided to take on the teacher training. I think it was about 1,500 hours diploma in teacher training through the Satyananda Yoga system. And that was it for me. That was my turning point, I guess. So, and then surprisingly, I went on and I started teaching, and I ended up managing the yoga center for
No,
2 years.
that same one.
Yeah, the same one. I managed that for a couple of years, and but sadly I burnt out. Even as a yoga practitioner and as a teacher, you're managing a business, a yoga studio, solely. It was a not-for-profit, so it was all on me, most of it, day-to-day running of the center, and then teaching as well. And so yeah, the tools that had been saving me from my corporate world, the overwhelm of my job, actually took its toll on me as well in the end. But yeah, and then I went traveling, and here I am now teaching and balancing freelancing and teaching at the same time. So
Yeah, wow. And so just on that, so you've clearly learned a few lessons along the way
I
about
have.
energy. So,
Yeah.
so how now that you've come through all of that, how do you maintain your energy levels?
I think balance is finding balance in life. That's something I've definitely learned. And I have this feeling there's like 5 pillars that I really manage my well-being through. And one is, I find the important thing is sleep. If I don't have enough sleep, then it's so easy to get into that habit of a few late nights. And then if you have a few late nights, then you might suddenly find that you're reaching for the wrong foods. So that's the other thing: diet, having a good healthy diet.
Yeah.
And then movement. So for me, obviously, I have a yoga practice, but if I'm not practicing yoga, I love being out walking, being by the ocean. That's a really important thing for me. And then meditation. Meditation is something that I found has really helped me. So I put boundaries in place also. So I make sure that I have strict time frames of working, and I learn very much from my corporate days. There's many nights I've spent at 11 o'clock at night proofing something or doing work in front of my computer, and that's a complete no now. I switch. I totally switch off, and I think yoga nidra has been the thing as well that's helped me a lot. That's a practice, a restorative practice, but also it's kind of, I suppose, a meditation practice as well, and it really helps you to restore your energy. So that's a great thing for me at the end of the working day. I'll do 30-minute yoga nidra, and then I feel it gives me that separation between work and my life.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask you, Mahima, I think something's knocking your microphone when you're speaking.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Is that okay? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to let you know. And it's funny you should say that about the no sleep and the eating, because there's been a lot of research to show that if you haven't slept well, you will just go for those foods, those sort of fatty, sugary foods the next day that are not really very nutritious. It just seems to trigger, no sleep triggers that sort of eating. So
I think it's probably like out of anything. I think it's the one thing that you need, you really should be prioritizing is the quality of your sleep. And I think you're right. It was something like 200-300 calories extra a day that you can be taking in just by the fact that you're reaching for the wrong foods. Or you find, I noticed that if I haven't slept well, I'm more likely to snack throughout the day, or I'm reaching for the bad stuff, the good stuff, the stuff that you're craving, but it's also not the stuff that you need to be eating really. So sleep, I think, is a big thing for me. But meditation also, I really value having a meditation practice. Really calms the nervous system and helps me keep that balance.
And this sort of leads on to my next question. So after a really sort of intense period, psychologically, physically, how do you soothe yourself? Do you use the same things to keep your energy levels up, or do you do extra things after a particularly intense period?
I think when things, what I tend to do is I schedule, I have a separation in my week where I allow, on like my Wednesday morning, I have this ritual where I take myself off to the beach. I live like, it's about a 10-minute drive down to the beach. I can see the ocean from here, and it calls me. So I like to, and that's my space. Every Wednesday morning, I give myself a separation in the week, and I will walk along the beach. I sit. I just like to hear the sound of the ocean, and that is like you can just feel the stress or the emotion, everything coming back to balance. So that's a place for me. So when anything's extra intense, I know that's where I need to go. That's my place to go. That's my ritual. But again, yoga nidra is the thing that I turn to a lot. It's been part of my daily practice for 10 years, and meditation. Yeah, they're the things. And we've also got a little veggie garden now, and I find that that's a place I like to go and just pull out the weeds and be a bit grounded and get my feet back in the earth, and that helps a lot as well.
Yeah. Oh, they all sound like such real nourishing sort of things.
Yeah. Being in nature, it's the best therapy, and it's free. All these things are free, so.
Absolutely. I find too, like sometimes, if it's been particularly stressful, if I just go in the water, I don't even have to be there very long. Like it really does something. Like I feel like all the stresses just sort of wash away, and it just calms me as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what's in that stuff, but it's
I know. I have a friend who she's really got, but it's all that cold water therapy as well. That's with Wim Hof, and everybody seems to have got onto the power of having a cold shower and being in the water.
I don't know.
And I've tried it a few times. I mean, it's a lot better now because the weather's getting warmer, but in the middle of winter, I'm not so sure. But I know if people are finding it very healing. I have a friend who really finds a lot of value in being in the water in the cold temperatures, and she has a young family, so I can understand that's like her release. She doesn't have time for anything else, so being in the water is her release. Yeah.
Excuse me, my cat's walking into shot. And I wanted to ask you, what do you wish you knew at the beginning of your professional life in the wellness space? Just ignore
let's check it. There's the tail. I guess I think the things for me is knowing that I had to take care of my well-being was just as much as me taking care of other people. So when you're in a class environment, you have to prepare your class, you're teaching the class. So it's important, it's very easy to go, okay, I'm going to practice the class that I'm teaching to other people, but I'm not often taking care of what I need. And so my own personal practice is something that I treasure. And whether my sadhana includes being at the beach or meditation or going for a walk in nature, those fundamental things have to stay in place for me to be able to take care of others. So if I'm not taking care of myself, and then I'm not taking care of others the way I should be. So that's really important for me. Yeah.
And because I see you use social media to promote Grassroots meditation. So it's a fundamental part now, really, isn't it, to promote wellness business. So how do you navigate using social media while still maintaining your own wellness? Because it can be so easy to get sucked in. So trust me.
I've had moments, and it's so easy when you wake up in the morning to reach the phone and check what's going on social media, and particularly when you've posted something for the business or for a client or something, it's very easy to get straight in there, and you can lose 30 minutes straight so easily from scrolling through. So again, boundaries. I try not to look at my phone until after I've had my breakfast in the morning. Doesn't always happen, but that's something that I try to do. And when it comes to actually, you're right in terms of you need to have social media in your business these days. It's a fundamental part of running a business, to get yourself out there into the world. I think you have to find time. What I try and do is schedule my posts on one day, and then and do all the creative and everything, and then I'm just checking in on it, rather than going, oh, I have to post something, something. It's about being organized and planned. And I think that's the thing that's helped me with social media. And being authentic self, being your authentic self when you do post is something as well that you see so much out there that's not real. And I think being in this industry particularly, people are coming to you because they have they're stressed, particularly in my situation, they're stressed, they're feeling disconnected, they're a little bit overseeing what's not so much real in the world. So actually being real yourself, I think, is very important.
Yeah. And so my next question is around someone that you've helped through your role in the wellness space. So as a yoga meditation teacher, do you have any stories of someone like who had really it's not, I can't say, you were responsible, but sharing yoga with them has really transformed their life? Do you have any stories where
it's really difficult, to pick one single person, because I think the thing is people will come to a class and that you can see it on their face, but that they're whatever they're dealing outside of the classroom, or that their struggles, their stresses from life, and then the transformation from a class afterwards, how they suddenly they're a different person. That's the most amazing transformation to see. And then they go out in the world. And knowing it myself, like when I was a student, I would go into a class and it became my sanctuary. That place on the yoga mat was my sanctuary. So anything that was going on the outside world, it was irrelevant, because that was my time on the mat to be in my space and to be more connected to myself. And I think that's the beautiful thing that yoga and meditation brings. There has been like situations where there's a local lady here who she had an illness, and we gave her the magic of yoga nidra. And you kind of don't, you forget. People come to you and say, oh, I'm going through this and all that, and you say, oh, you should try yoga nidra. And so you give them the practice and you forget about it. And then months later, somebody will come to you and say, oh, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much that helped me. I slept so much better. And this particular lady had been going through cancer. And so it really helped her after her treatments to to kind of sleep and to relax and just to be able to deal with everything that she was going through. And I think that is, for me, is why we teach. That's why we do it. And just those little things when somebody will say to you, I can't believe how much that helped me. And that's enough, that's enough.
Yeah. I totally agree. And when I said not you, I meant, you did, you would have been like, oh no, I'm not taking that on.
No.
So reword that question. But like I totally get it. And you feel it within yourself too, don't you, when you even do your own sadhana. I think you start I guess if you're doing it in the morning, I don't know about you, but my mind's going all over the place, and then by the end it's still
it's the stillness. And you feel and sometimes I don't practice asana every day, like the stretches. I always have my meditation every day, but when I haven't stretched my body with yoga asana a couple of days, when I do, my body's like, thank you. It's like it's given me that thanks for you notice it. It's a very beautiful feeling afterwards when you've really given your body a lovely stretch. And
it's just magic. And I see that too, because as I said, I'm a very new teacher. But that's been my favorite part, is seeing people being so flustered and stressed when they come in, and then they just nearly float out the door. And it's magic,
When I was at the yoga center, when I was managing the center, it's when we were at the old place, people would come down, they come in and they rush in and they book into the class, and then they go up the stairs. And when they came down the stairs, it was almost like they were in a trance, like a blissful state as they would go out the door again. And that was just like, they've got the magic. They've been transformed. And that's what people need in this world right now. You know, there's so much horrible stuff, a lot of negativity, and practices like yoga, meditation, mindfulness, going out, being out in nature really helps to bring people's nervous system back to balance. And we need that. We're too much living in the stress response as a society. Yeah.
Totally agree. And so what are your goals for 2022? We're nearly halfway through. But what are your goals for this year?
So at the moment we're about launching our online, like our summer program. We've been trying to get an online to teach online going. We live in a rural area, so we've had a lot of internet nightmares. And so whilst we've been teaching locally and some privates, we want to be able to offer to a wider reach and in the online space, not so much just online classes. We will do that, but also we're working on an online meditation course, which we want to get launched in September. Yeah. So that's something that we've taught locally, but we want to take that into an online platform because I think the gift of meditation and mindfulness practices really help to support people, and that's what we're all about. So helping people bring some balance into their lives. So that's what we're aiming to do this year.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so my final question for this episode for you is, what advice would you give to new people who are working in the wellness space about how to avoid burnout?
Oh, okay. Having experienced it.
Yeah. So like,
yeah.
Stop others from going through that.
You have to be very clear in your boundaries. In terms of allowing yourself every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that you have that space for yourself. It's so easy to go, oh, I'm just going to do this. I just need to finish this. Or you can't take on everybody else's problems depending on what you're doing in that wellness space. You need to have space in your day for yourself, whether it's to go and breathe and connect with your breath, or it's to go for a walk in nature, or it's to do a 10-minute meditation. It's finding that something that you resonates with you, that you that nourishes your soul, and have that regular in your day. Even put it in your calendar. I've heard many people saying schedule time for yourself in your calendar, and that's your time. And again, have boundaries with your work. Turn your computer off at a certain time. Don't work into the evenings is another thing. It's very easy to do that. I would suggest definitely to have strict time frame in how you do your day-to-day work. And yeah, find your balance. Find that balance in your life between work and personal time. They're the really important things that have helped me, definitely. Prioritizing your wellness.
Yeah, because that's right. It's like the oxygen mask, isn't it? You put it on yourself first before you give it to others.
Yeah, you can't. There's a saying, isn't it? How can you take care of us if you're not taking care of yourself?
Yeah, that's right. And you can't have a wellness, like someone working in wellness who's not well.
No. And I've seen it before. I've seen it in this industry with yoga teachers who are burning out, and because they're doing 15 classes a week, they're going from studio to studio, and it's exhausting because it's you're talking all that time as well, or you're watching what's going on, you're monitoring your students, and if you're not finding that space for yourself, that separation, you're going to burn out. Yeah, you burn out.
Excellent. That's great advice. And do you have any final words to share before we finish this episode?
Oh, I would say I would encourage anybody to start a practice of you don't have to be a yoga practitioner. I think yoga is accessible for everybody, no matter age, abilities. The practices there, moving the body. mindfulness practices, being out in nature. It's free. I think it offers an abundance of benefits for our well-being. If yoga nidra, you want to try that, I would definitely, that's the most healing practice. If there was anything you were going to do in your day, it would be a yoga nidra practice. It's got the most incredible benefits. But there's something for everything out there, and I think it's finding the thing that's for you and embrace it and prioritize you. At the end of the day, look after your health, your well-being, and your sleep.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mahima. And
it's my pleasure.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the third episode of Kokoon, a podcast for people working in the wellness space, featuring people working in the wellness space. And we will see you next month for episode 4. So thanks, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next month.